The news broke quietly at first. Just a few whispers online, a few speculative posts from fans who noticed something strange. Sukai hadn't been seen in public for weeks. No new photos, no brand updates, no scheduled appearances. His social media, usually active with cheerful posts and behind-the-scenes moments, had gone completely silent. At first, fans thought it was just a break. Maybe he needed rest after a demanding shoot. But when even his agency refused to comment, the silence grew louder, heavier. Within days, hashtags began trending, hashtag where is Sukai, hashtag find Sukai, and even hashtag Sukai missing. Among those watching the story unfold was someone who couldn't sit still, Tan Songyun. She had known Sukai for years. They weren't just co-stars who shared great on-screen chemistry, they were genuine friends who had stayed connected long after the cameras stopped rolling. But now, even she couldn't reach him. She tried calling. No response. She sent messages, simple, heartfelt ones like, "Are you okay? And please just tell me you're safe." But none were read. The more she tried, the more her heart sank. Days turned into weeks, and the online theories spiraled out of control. Some fans claimed he had gone abroad secretly. Others thought it was a publicity stunt. But Tan Songyun knew Sukai better than anyone. This wasn't like him. He was kind, responsible, and deeply loyal to his fans. For him to vanish without a word meant something was truly wrong. One evening, she decided to go to his apartment. Paparazzi had gathered outside, hoping for a glimpse of something, anything, but she walked right through, head down, wearing a mask and a cap. When she reached his door, her hand trembled as she knocked softly. No answer. She knocked again, this time harder. Still nothing. The next day, she called his manager. "Please, I need to know where he is," she pleaded. The manager hesitated, his tone uneasy. "He needed space," he said finally. "Something happened after the last project. He's been struggling." Tan Songyun's heart tightened. Struggling? With what? She knew Sukai had been under pressure lately. His schedule packed, expectations rising, the industry demanding perfection from him every second. But for him to just disappear meant he must have reached his breaking point. Without a second thought, she took time off from her own projects. Her agency tried to stop her, but she wouldn't listen. "This isn't about work," she said firmly. "He's my friend. He needs someone to find him." For days, she searched quietly, avoiding media attention. She went to the places he loved, the small coffee shop near their old filming set, the riverside bench where he used to sit and read scripts, even the bookstore he frequented. But every lead ended in nothing. Then, just when she was about to lose hope, an anonymous message appeared in her inbox. "He's safe, but he doesn't want to be found." Her breath caught as she read the words again and again. Safe, but hiding. Why? She thought back to their last conversation, months ago during an award show. He had seemed happy, but there was something behind his smile, something weary. "Sometimes I wonder," he had said quietly to her backstage, "if disappearing would make life easier." She had laughed it off then, not realizing how serious he might have been. Now, his words haunted her. Determined, she followed the only clue she had, a location tag embedded in the email's metadata. It pointed to a small coastal town, hours away from Beijing. Without telling anyone, she booked a train ticket and left that night. When she arrived, the air smelled of salt and rain. The town was peaceful, untouched by fame or gossip. As she walked through the narrow streets, she noticed a familiar figure sitting near the docks, a man in a hat, gazing out at the sea. Her steps slowed. It couldn't be. But it was. Sukai. Her eyes filled instantly. She called out his name softly, her voice trembling. He turned, and for a long moment they just stared at each other, two people who hadn't seen each other in months but didn't need words to understand. He looked tired, thinner, but there was still that same warmth in his eyes. "You found me," he said quietly. She nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. "You scared everyone. You scared me." He smiled faintly, almost apologetically. "I didn't mean to disappear. I just couldn't handle it anymore. The pressure, the noise. I needed to breathe." Tan Songyun sat beside him, the waves gently crashing in the distance. "You could have told me," she whispered. You didn't have to face it alone. For the first time in weeks, he looked at peace. I thought disappearing was easier than disappointing people, he said. But now I realize I was wrong. I needed to face it and the people who truly care. Their conversation lasted for hours, long into the night. They talked about everything: fame, exhaustion, fear, and how easily the world forgets that even celebrities are human. And when he finally laughed again, it was genuine. When she returned to the city, fans noticed something different. Her smile seemed lighter, calmer. Not long after, Sukai reappeared on social media with a simple post, a photo of the sea with the caption, "Sometimes, to find yourself, someone has to find you first." The post went viral instantly. Fans flooded the comments, many tagging Tan Songyun, thanking her for being the friend who refused to give up. Later, during an interview, Sukai was asked directly about his disappearance. He didn't give many details but said, "I was lost for a while. But a friend reminded me what really matters. I'll always be grateful to her." And though he didn't say her name, everyone knew who he meant. From that day on, their friendship became something fans deeply admired, not for drama or gossip, but for its sincerity and strength. Tan Songyun had proven that loyalty isn't about being seen. It's about showing up when no one else will. And for Sukai, that moment by the sea wasn't just a reunion. It was his return to life, to purpose, and to hope. Because sometimes the person who refuses to give up on you is the reason you find your way back. The search for Sukai became the biggest trending story online, but for Tan Songyun, it wasn't about trends or news. It was about fear. Genuine, heart-wrenching fear that someone dear to her was in trouble. The last time she saw him was just a day before he disappeared. They were at a private celebration dinner after wrapping up a brand endorsement shoot. Sukai was smiling, teasing her about how she always ordered the same dessert. Everything seemed normal. But what no one knew was that Sukai had been battling exhaustion and emotional burnout from back-to-back filming schedules. When Tan Songyun realized she couldn't reach him the next morning, she didn't panic immediately. She assumed he had fallen asleep or needed rest. But as hours turned into a full day, and no one, not even his manager, could locate him, her heart sank. She called him again and again. No answer. She messaged mutual friends, checked the schedule, and even reached out to the production team of his next drama. Nothing. It was as if Sukai had vanished without a trace. By the evening, she was seen at the police station, quietly filing a missing person report alongside his staff. Fans who caught photos of her leaving with swollen eyes began to flood social media with messages of support and questions. Why was Tan Songyun there? What's her relationship with Sukai? Is something happening behind the scenes? As the search continued, whispers began to circulate. Some speculated that Sukai had deliberately gone off-grid to escape the pressure of fame. Others claimed there was an emotional reason, that he had been struggling privately after something personal. Then, 2 days later, Tan Songyun posted a short message on Weibo. It read simply, "Please come back safe. We're all waiting." Within minutes, it became one of the most shared posts on the platform. The tone of her words, gentle yet desperate, made fans wonder if there was more to their connection than friendship. By the third day, the tension was unbearable. News outlets began piecing together fragments of CCTV footage showing Sukai's car leaving a highway rest stop in the early morning hours. No destination recorded. And then, just when fans were beginning to lose hope, a quiet update came in. Sukai had been found. He was discovered in a remote coastal area, far from Beijing, staying at a small inn under an alias. When reporters tried to approach, his team confirmed he was safe but needed time to recover. The details were kept private, but what caught everyone's attention was who showed up at the inn first, Tan Songyun. According to eyewitnesses, she arrived before dawn, wearing a simple cap and mask, trying to avoid attention. But what followed melted hearts everywhere. As soon as she saw him, she ran toward him, and Sukai, visibly emotional, opened his arms and hugged her tightly. For a moment, the cameras, the noise, and the world outside didn't exist. It was just the two of them, caught between relief and tears. Later that day, when fans saw them leaving together, Sukai's hand briefly brushed against hers, a gesture subtle but full of meaning. Neither of them spoke publicly about what happened, but insiders later revealed that Tan Songyun had been the one who insisted on finding him personally when all official efforts had stalled. She refused to give up, one close source shared. Everyone told her to rest, but she said, "I won't stop until he's safe." That line, "I won't stop until he's safe," became a quote that defined not only her devotion but the depth of their bond. A few days later, Soo Kai returned to social media with a simple post, "I'm back. Thank you for those who believed in me." He didn't mention her name, but his next story did, subtly. It was a photo of a seashell resting on the sand, caption, "Found by someone who never stopped looking." Fans instantly connected the dots. It wasn't just about a missing actor or a worried friend. It was about two people whose bond had quietly grown over the years, a friendship so deep it blurred into something more profound. And though neither confirmed anything officially, their actions spoke louder than words. The reunion, the emotions, the unspoken loyalty, it became one of the most talked about stories of the year. Some called it destiny, others called it love in disguise. But one thing was certain. When Soo Kai went missing, Tan Songyun's unwavering heart brought him back, not just to the world, but to himself.